Welcome to the Rally Points podcast for the love and fun of tennis.
We are joined today by our good friend Jason Ronan. Jay is a highly skilled racket sports professional, and he's giving us his take on tennis, paddle, pickle, and much more.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right.
Well, that was like the episode with Leahy when you guys were talking about Sunday
that's right.
clinics. And then you made the reference about you should have to pay based off of the quality of the lesson.
Yeah.
I think Leahy said that he should have paid about $750 for his lessons.
That's right, dude. We were talking about the Sunday, and he's like, I realized after a little while that my lessons were not quite the most efficient on a Sunday.
We also had Cadigan there. And Cadigan,
That's
I'm
true.
like, all right, why don't we come in for some volleys? And Cadigan's like, nah, I'm going to set this one out.
He's like, no, I'm allergic.
Long fucking days.
They were.
I wouldn't have that in me anymore.
No way.
Not
Right?
at all.
Jay Ronan, welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
We've
Thanks
been
for having
talking. Yeah, we've been talking about you for like a year now. About all those stories, and finally made it.
me. Honored to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one before, scheduled before, didn't we? And then something happened, I think.
I think we just maybe penciled in with Jay. No, we didn't schedule anything, right?
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
It's crazy.
So many schedules, and you think it's easy.
Yeah.
We did the one with. It took a little bit to get Andy McClarkley, who's from Soul PT. That was a good one, too. But that took a while.
Physical therapist.
Yeah. That
Good
was-
stuff on that.
That's good stuff on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tennis, full on tennis
Yeah.
injuries, and that was good. And
Yeah,
Suzanne-
info.
Suzanne Sweeney was a good one too. We actually took a little break for a couple of months, kind of starting season 2.
Yeah, right.
Is this the first episode of season 2?
Well,
Wow, what an honor.
dude, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Well-
I cut Gav.
Gav, if you hear this, we'll see you in 2025 when you have a little time.
Guy had 2 full seasons at
I know.
fall and winter, not a chance, sorry.
I know. Did you guys watch any of Madrid?
I caught a little Alcaraz today.
He's explosive, man, huh? It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's so it's almost like fills in. We talked about it before. Fills in the gap of creativity that he used to get with Federer,
Big time.
right?
Yep.
Because other than that, remember we were chatting like when was the lull after Fed retired?
Yeah.
Well, morning Fed, and there's not much there, and then it was just he came and filled in the void because it's not that many that are that exciting.
No.
You know,
No. I
like-
mean, I'm enjoying watching Sinner.
Yep.
And his growth.
Yep.
You know, but some of those other guys in the top 10, I can't watch Medvedev play. I can't watch that guy play.
The stroke quality is not really up your alley as a tennis pro.
No. I mean, obviously, Alcaraz's creativity and all the other stuff is so fun to watch. How can you not be a fan? But some of those other guys, you're just like, this is not fun to watch.
No,
You know,
no, it is.
it's nice to see the resurgence of Dimitrov.
Yes,
know?
because that's not a nice player, like beautiful tennis, but not many more like that.
No. It was nice when Team was, a couple years ago when Team was making a name for himself. It's kind of disappointing that he's kind of gone.
Dude,
the
what's
route
happening with
of
the guy, man?
Del Potro, basically. Same route as Del Potro
Yes.
with the wrist injuries.
Yeah. I never thought of it, yeah, because that was Del Potro, and then Del Potro was the knee, right? That's what's finally took him out. 'Cause I kept on hoping for him to come back and do one more run there.
Del Potro?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you not root for a guy like that?
Yeah, man.
Is that what happened to him? He just basically got
In-
too many injuries,
Yes.
and he just couldn't
yeah,
come back.
yeah. I don't know how many comebacks he had. He has so many comebacks.
At least 3,
Yeah,
like major ones.
yeah.
And then fast forward to one of his, I think it was actually his last match. He was just bawling his eyes out because he was in so much pain, but he knew this was it.
In Argentina, right? He played in what was the lefty guy? Not Argentinian, I think. I can't remember his name, but he lost to that guy. That was his last match. That's right.
Yep.
And it was a different era, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was funny
Yeah,
actually. Alcaraz and
Who's this? Rich?
can almost guarantee.
You have people calling into the show?
Yeah, we're doing live calls. It's can almost guarantee it's my father calling in. He's like, so breakfast was good earlier, huh? I'm like, yeah.
Done. All right, so back to the tennis now. Do you think? What do you see it, man? What do you see it now? Because I like to hear as many opinions as possible from people in our industry. Where is tennis headed? Professional tennis. We'll talk about local, but what do you think?
I mean, I think it coincides with a lot of things that you hear about. So I'm obviously entrenched in the hockey world, right? And everything that you hear about these crazy hockey parents, crazy hockey coaches, blah, 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 everybody thinks that you're supposed to play hockey 365 days a year, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas more studies are showing, don't do that. Play as many sports as you can, and it'll develop muscle groups, it'll develop athleticism. I think what you're seeing now is just this massive surge of just athletes.
Yeah.
It's athletes, it's work ethic, gone are the days where guys are smoking off the courts. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, big time.
You're
right.
About a long time ago, but
or partying.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
they're just machines.
Yeah, exactly.
You see it in the NHL too. It's just you have a guy like Nathan McKinnon from the Avalanche who he went into the locker room the year before they won the cup, and he's like, "All right, these are the adjustments we're making. We're in the gym. We're making adjustments to our diets. This is what we're eating. This is the menu you guys are going to order off of, blah, 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 from inside the locker rooms." And they're just programming themselves to set themselves up for success,
Yeah, man, it's like that in every sport almost now. Think about, like, every pro sport you can think of and what the athletes today look like compared to what they looked like.
Correct.
I don't know, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Even, right? Every pro athlete is a fucking beast.
Yeah.
They're just like a specimen.
Yeah.
That was not the case not that long ago.
No, correct. Correct. It's
you see it even all the way down. You see it in the college kids. You see it in the high school kids who are really committed to it. I'll walk by some kid that Ian is playing hockey against, and the kid is just ripped.
Yeah.
His legs are like fire hydrants.
Yeah.
There's not an ounce of, fat on those legs, and I'm just like, these kids are committed. They're dialed in.
Now, here's the question there. Is that him wanting to do that, which if it is, that's amazing, or is that pressure, parents, coaches, for him to do that? Like, because there's that doing something because you enjoy and you love it, or doing something because you're good at it, and if you want to be really good, you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line between those, but I don't know. It's becoming a little bit too science-like, too machine-like.
Yeah.
And you take out the fun out of it.
Yep. Yeah. No, you're right. You bring up a really good point. I would say that a lot of those kids that are in shape that way, I think they're pretty committed to it. I don't know.
They have to be, right?
Yeah. I don't know. You can only withstand so much from pressure before you're like, all right, I'm just done. I think you're bought in. I think you're really committed to it.
You're in it.
You're in it for the long term.
Yeah, there's that extra thing, because if you really want it, you do wake up that half hour early in the morning.
Yep.
You do run that extra mile or whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same in tennis, right? It's the professional one is it's all those guys have their teams, have all that. I mean, top guys, and we can get into the coaching and the money behind that and everything else. But it's so precise, man. At this point, it's so precise. Like you said, with eating, with sleeping schedules, obviously, all that stuff, mental, massive.
Oh yeah,
massive part of it, right?
That's why it is a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I mean, obviously, Alcaraz is so fun to watch. If you're not a fan of Alcaraz, then you're not a fan of tennis.
Correct.
Right? But compare him to Sinner. Both of them are obviously top 5 in the world.
Yep.
Okay. But Alcaraz is out there. He's smiling.
Yes.
He's engaging.
Correct.
Like even today during his match, no idea what they're saying because they're rifling it off in Spanish, but the crowd was singing something to him.
That's
and
amazing.
He's just out there. He's just having a great time.
Right.
It's like, what's better than this? I'm in my home country. My crowd is singing to me.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's recognizing it. He throws his racket up and he's smiling and he's just like, all right, yeah.
That's it.
Which is different because, especially with tennis players, when you see how much stress they carry when they're out there, you know, you don't. There's not a lot of smiling and laughing and like taking in these amazing moments they're having. It's usually like teetering on the verge of mental breakdown. Completely, you know. Lendl pulling his fucking eyelashes out there, you know. Honestly, it's like, it's a different.
Courier was saying today what we talked about this before about Juan Carlos Ferrero, Alcaraz's coach, having a very tough job of kind of tempering his instincts, but not completely kill him. Because that's what we talked about before in one of our podcasts, that it's so important to let him be, to be creative, to let him enjoy it, even if you lose some matches here and there. Because if not, you turn him into a machine and you take the enjoyment out.
Right.
And now you kill the genius.
Right.
You build a machine, but you kill the genius.
Yep.
Right? So it's...
Yeah, because those are all the slices of pie that make Carlos Alcaraz.
Right. The same way was Fed.
Right.
You were watching every point of it. I actually put on the 2017 Aussie Open final the other night. Yeah. Just because it was nothing on, it was in between it was a, you know... I'm like, you know what, let me see, because we forget how much we enjoy this. Like, whenever, I mean, we're different age now, but whenever do you see us, like, text at 3 a.m. watching Australian Open?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I don't think that will happen that much more, you know?
No. And wasn't the 2017 when he made racket and backhand adjustments?
The backhand adjustment for sure, yeah. Lubicic. Yeah. And I think the racket, maybe...
Because he went from a 90 to a 95
maybe it was
or 7.
Yeah, the big one. Maybe not, yeah, you're right. And then, because that's when he played Nadal at Indian Wells and Miami. It was just like on fire.
That was like the surge of the sneak attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Saber.
Yeah. Which Alcaraz used today.
Did he?
Yeah.
Of course. Yep. He can do it. Man. And you have Sinner, man. That guy's also like just... He's got Cahill, so you got it, right?
So you bring up a really good point, right? You're sitting there today, you're listening to Courier, and then you have a guy like Cahill who's just so knowledgeable, or you sit there and you get to listen to Paul Anacone or something like that, right? This is where I think at this stage, tennis has to get rid of like McEnroe.
Really?
There's no educational value sitting there listening to McEnroe.
Right.
The guy dumps a ball in the bottom of the net, and he's like, well, I can do that, you know, versus you're sitting there, Courier's breaking things down.
He's really good.
Oh, he's so good.
He's so good, man. He sees it so... He made a fish reference the other week.
He's got that soothing voice, too. I just want to, like, curl up and be like, say that again? I'm just getting uncomfortable listening. Doesn't he? There's something about
it. It is, very...
What was his fish reference?
He said something like... that he missed that ball so higher than all the crowd at the fish show in Vegas this weekend, you know? Yeah. And then his co-commentator started laughing. He was like, well, it's legal. We can talk about it. You know, it's fine. Yeah. But, he does. And, even this guy, Pesci, that's on, I think he was working with Murray a little bit. He's very knowledgeable. British guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's good.
Yep.
He's very good. But go back to your point with...
It's just so fun listening to those guys, you know? Like, you're sitting there. We have the luxury of sitting there watching the game as tennis pros. And there's a lot that we notice. Yeah. However, there's still stuff we're missing when you have somebody like Cahill or Anacone or Courier break it down. Right. You know? Imagine being a 3-0 USTA player and what, like, the value they're getting out of that. Because
there's so much there that can be learned.
Right.
If you know how to listen.
Yeah.
If you know what to... Which, now when you think of it, man, I thought about this, like, the other day. The tennis fans, like the true tennis fans, are very knowledgeable, are very educated.
Yeah.
And about the sport, the intricacy of this, like, complicated sport and the scoring system and so forth. And you can't really fool them with crap like... whatever they were doing, the Challenger movie there, and they have all those movie stars that kind of pose with the real athletes. And
And have you seen Zendaya's backhand, though?
I didn't even know who she was until Indian Wells. I'm like, what is this? Who is she?
I still don't know what it is.
It's dude. They push this movie all over. I'm like, man. But you see some comments. I just look for fun sometimes, and they're like, people like, enough of this. We want to see real tennis.
Do you know who Zendaya is?
No.
Yeah.
She's a smoke show.
Okay.
She was on a kids show, a few kids shows that like my kids watched,
like a Nickelodeon.
And then she was on this show, on HBO called Euphoria.
Okay.
Which I watched by myself a few times and got too embarrassed I couldn't even watch it anymore. It's like really a heavy teen drug and sex stuff. And Bella recommended it to me. And then like I'm watching it by myself and I'm like, I'm like, are you watching that show? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, ooh. And we just like walk our separate ways. But she is a pretty talented actress, but I can never take any tennis movie seriously but I happened to see a little clip on a talk show the other day. I think somehow maybe the Williams sisters were involved.
Were they?
Maybe like as like consultants.
Yeah.
To like maybe I don't know, say how maybe I don't know training sessions go. I'm not even really sure. I've just seen too many movies where person who's supposed to play at a certain level gets out there and swings and it like ruins the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's
like,
tough.
Did either of you watch King Richard?
No.
So I broke down. Heather and I watched it, and it's really entertaining. The point you just brought up, how they just can't. You can't substitute stunt people to do tennis who actually don't really know tennis.
Not at all. There's a swing. You can see it right off the bat that you're like, that is not.
So the dad brings the girls to this country club, and he just kind of imposes the girls on this guy who at the time was Sampras's coach. I forget the guy's name.
Yeah.
And one thing they did a great job of, so they had McEnroe, Sampras, and someone else there. And the people that they got as doubles for Sampras and McEnroe, they did a great job with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then they get a teaching pro. So the camera angle has it so that you can't see who the teaching pro is.
Okay.
Right? So teaching pro is feeding with proper grip and putting balls where you're supposed to do, no spin, blah, blah, blah. Then they focus on the actual actor to do it. And he's in like a semi-Western and he's throwing in like topspin forehand grips, feeds. And you're like, okay, this is glaring to me. This is really bad. Yeah. And Heather's watching it and she's like this. And I'm like,
no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea.
You can't.
Yeah, I'm going to tennis geek out on you, but never mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It is tough. It's just, that's what I'm saying. It's tough with the fans to really sell them those things. Even we were bashing on Breakpoint or Breaking Point. It got canceled.
Oh, it did it already?
Yeah.
Did it get canceled because of the curse? Is that why it got canceled?
They might have used that, dude. I think that just people, again, tennis fans.
Wait, the curse was that people that had featured,
they lost the first round, or they lost early that year,
or got injured. I think.
I don't think it was the curse. I think it was just people had enough of.
That's how big head cases tennis players are. They're like, there's some curse around this thing. Cancel it. Yeah. What, dude? Get a fucking win in your first round.
Yeah.
But they also went a little Bravo TV on it, man. They were, I saw clips. They were showing the girlfriends of this guy's having lunch, talking about their
right
a little bit like.
But that was the point, right? And that what you were saying, like you thought it was trying to build like.
I wasn't. I was saying it's not going to work. Somebody else
create personalities within the game so that there's some.
Yeah, a little more texture for the fans.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily.
Like,
someone should just have that. You shouldn't be featured and clipped together on a reality show that is.
But when you
forces a personality on you, you should just be a personality that people are like, oh, and you're kind of being yourself, and it's interesting, and people want to.
Yeah, because they had, I think Sabalenka was one of the players that they featured in the show, and I'm like, well, she already has a personality. She presents herself pretty well on the tour.
Yeah.
But somebody like who was Berrettini dating at the time?
Alja Tomljanovic.
Yeah. I didn't really know her before the show, and they dig deep with those two, and I'm like, well, I didn't know this girl, but she seems all right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, none. I don't know. I watch tennis so I can watch tennis. I don't really care what those guys do off the court.
Yeah.
You know?
But on the flip side of that, like did you guys watch Full Swing? The basically golf's version of that.
I heard
that
of
was
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I heard of it.
thought
I
that was
haven't
pretty
watched
cool.
it, but and they have the Formula One, right? That's what started all.
Yeah.
To get it, I guess again, the same formula doesn't apply to all sports because you have different fans, man. Different fans for different sports. Like this sport of ours is pretty intricate.
Yeah,
it's pretty complex. So those people that are into it, you don't necessarily fool them. You might get some new fans, or some fair weather fans with that, but I don't think you're gonna. I'm not gonna watch that show. Just wait for the next episode to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
If you show me a breakdown of somebody's training session and what they try to develop for 3 months, and how they don't have a net game, but now they're looking to do that for the next season.
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
Sure.
Or how, whatever they try.
That may be a more specific audience than you think, though.
I know. And
There
so
may
that's
be
what,
more people that are into, like, seeing lunch between.
correct. That's
two,
yeah.
Yeah,
chat
social
back and
media
forth.
generation.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, like,
as opposed to us who would sit around and geek out about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
We're comparing backhands and, well,
It was James Blake's backhand.
that's right. We were sectionals, and when we were all living in a dirty den there, and Jay and I were watching tennis at 12 at night, talking one-hand backhands, breaking it down, and we're like, I think you guys had to play the next day. I was just sitting that one out.
Yeah, and I think at one point we discovered that Greggy was awake, and I said, "Well, hey, Greggy, which backhand would you want?" And typical Greg, I want the one that wins.
Of course, that's a Greggy.
That is.
That's a Gregor. Did you watch Nadal?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit against Diminar.
Dude, let's talk Diminar first. I think that guy overachieved.
Oh, big time,
Right?
big time.
Credit for him, and that
He's like Ferrer.
yes,
He's maximized everything he can possibly do.
everything he right.
Yeah, because he's what 5'9".
Yeah, I think they have him 5'11". Maybe I may be wrong, but
Oh,
yeah, I got.
so
But continental grip almost.
right.
Talking
On clay.
about yeah.
On his forehand?
Yes.
Really?
on
yeah.
clay.
Yeah, man. And he's jumping high up and taking shots. He's fast. He's so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah,
But he's top 10 now, and but that's
He
good
played.
for him.
He played Nadal.
But he beat him last tournament in Barcelona, and Nadal beat him. It was a tough match.
It's tough taking that continental forehand from
Dude, he was jumping
above
so
your
high.
head.
Yeah.
especially in Madrid, it's higher elevation.
Yes. Yeah. You know what Corey
Is that what he was doing? You gotta elevate to be
he
able
was
to get that
jumping
ball down lower
hit
so you can
with a
get to-
continental? Yeah, man. He was doing good. 7-6, 6-3, I think
Yeah,
it
I
was.
think you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, good for him. It was fun to watch. It was
Who's
good
his
to
coach? LaPierre? He's playing with a continental these days.
Dean Lapierre.
see. Yeah, yeah.
Even LaPierre's ditched it. He doesn't even use the continental anymore. Jesus.
Yeah, he's the first Aussie in top 10 since Hewitt.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a long time.
it is a long time. I think we're gonna see so many like top 10s now. There, like the door is gonna be so open for the next 3, 4, 5 years. You're not gonna have a solidify like 3, 5 years like same guys. Even if we had the same top 3 or 4,
Yeah,
we had like you had a Burdage, Ferrer, all those guys. You knew they're gonna be Del Potro when he
Oh,
was
yeah.
playing. They're gonna be in the top 10. That's kind of your Chilich. I think right now it's just gonna be
especially the back end. I would say 5 through 10. You probably see a lot of
right.
guys coming
Yes.
from the 20s.
Yes.
You know, high teens.
Yeah, hitting their top 10, which is good. It's a good landmark. I mean, last year was maybe early this year was Tiafoe and Fritz were 2 Americans in top 10. It was like 9 and 10.
Yeah.
But
Where
now-
are they now?
I think Shelton's the highest ranked.
Highest, yeah. I think they
American
fell off
now.
like 15 for Fritz or something like that, and Tiafoe's didn't have a good year at all.
It's so hard to keep your ranking
Oh yeah.
up. It's like you think like you're like, all right, I've arrived, but now you're like, fuck.
Now I have to defend
now
all
you got to
those.
defend. Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. It's
Yeah.
relentless.
Yeah.
It's relentless. That's why it's more amazing when people do it for a really long time. 'cause
Oh,
you're like
100%.
they are just, you have a target on your back and you're just able to You can shimmy and shake for a very long time and just keep beating everyone you're playing. Like, really incredible. Really incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
They were saying when Nadal was playing that, speaking of like crazy records, that on clay, 43% in all of his matches of breaks of serves.
He's broken 43%.
43% of the time on clay. How?
He's broken or he breaks?
No,
He's
he
broken.
he broke.
He broke.
He broke 43% of the time. 4 out of 10 games that he returned, he broke on clay. How through his career, not a year, not a tournament, through his career.
Huh.
I think if you go through most of his clay stats, I think all of us would, your jaws are dropping.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
just his Roland Garros stats alone.
Oh my God. That's why I think it's important to watch him now, whatever he's got, because it's important to celebrate him now, even if we're like Fed fans, and he's like, we're not gonna see anything like that, man.
No.
We're not gonna see anything like that.
No. And he's different than Djokovic in my mind, because I felt like, me personally, when he came on the scene and he started to infringe upon Fed's success and, you know, started to take away some of the limelight from Fed, at first I'm like, I don't know if I like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's my hero, and
Yeah,
this guy's, you know, stomping on him, especially on clay. But then you can't help but respect that guy.
You
he
have to.
works so hard.
Yeah.
He's the epitome of hard work on the tour. You know,
Every point.
so that's where I just
Oh, you got to. I respect the heck out of him and what he's doing.
tremendous amount. He's
Yeah.
such a good ambassador for the sport.
Mhm.
You know,
And now I think he's doing the right thing. We talked about this again before, but those big guys, they're smart about only coming back if they think they have a shot
Yep.
at winning. Or at least it preps him for what he's looking for. He's looking for the French Open.
Right.
So he's got a goal in mind with hopefully making a good run and winning it. Otherwise, he's not going to step on a court. That's why he pulled out of Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo.
well, Roland Garros is still
Iffy.
iffy for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said at Madrid, he's like, if I feel this way, I may not play Roland Garros.
Yeah. Yeah. He did have a decent match against
When is that? 3 weeks? A few weeks?
Yeah,
right?
because you have Rome after
Late.
this.
yeah. Late May. I know the final is on the 8th of June. So take down 15 days from that. So 25th, 26th of May, whatever that is.
Yeah, the next three majors
Murphy's
kind of
going.
coincide with the American holidays. So Memorial Day, July 4th, and then Labor Day.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had something about Nadal that I wanted to talk again, but I forgot. We'll get back to it. Madrid. And speaking of high balls, and couriers is something very, very interesting, and that they're not changing the ball until the altitude is over 5,000 feet.
Really?
That's a big difference to me.
Because Madrid is at, I think I heard them
I'm
say
not sure what
today
it
it's
is.
at 2,500 feet.
Yeah. So what's that ball like over 5,000? Got to be heavier, right? Less pressure.
Well, they say that most of the guys' top serve speeds are at Madrid.
Yeah.
Because the ball's just getting
Yeah.
through the air so quickly.
Yeah. Fed had the most success there on clay.
Wasn't that the tournament where they turned the clay blue?
Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guys were falling right and left.
But it wasn't the blue. It wasn't the color.
Oh, okay.
It was the fact that it wasn't done right that year, and it was very slippery. And
Gotcha.
nothing to do with the color. But they, of course, the one year they make it blue.
It seems like that could maybe have something to do with it, though.
No, the courier was literally said it. It's like everybody thought it was the blue color, but it was not. It's just the top layer was not done right. It was just very
Granular.
dusty.
Yeah.
And
And guys were falling?
Oh, yeah. Nadal said if it's like that, it's not going to come back.
Huh.
Fed won that year, Madrid, but because another thing that, and they were talking about the ball. They were talking about how the ball used to be white all the time.
Yeah.
And this BBC commentator said it was tough to
See?
They have to see it.
Of course.
Yeah, so they said make it yellow. And now they're talking about making a different color ball for the clay court because it's very tough to pick up the yellow on especially a dry clay court, orange court. So
on
they're
TV
on
or
TV,
for the players?
on TV.
Okay.
So they're talking about like, or the option or the possibility of making it, whatever, black or something that goes well with.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
That would
but
be weird. It's funny how you can just
I know,
change
but
the
was
color
it
of the ball
weird
and
when they
just
changed it to this?
I'm sure if you were used to playing with a white ball,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
play with white balls?
No, they were.
So we must have got the bad
Were you
shipments.
playing with white
Yeah,
balls?
dude, they send it to
Well,
us.
I mean, you were only replacing one string when you broke a
Correct.
string.
Yeah.
That's for real.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you believe that? These guys in Romania, when he would break a string as a kid, they would leave everything else in and replace the one string.
Yeah.
So
Two.
Would you have like 35 knots in your racket?
Yes. Oh yeah. Our coaches were
That's wild.
By hand.
our coaches by hand. They were like opening up the hole so you can make a lot of knots there. Oh yeah, dude. And I'm not kidding. When I first came here and played with you guys,
Yeah.
somebody did my racket and my strings broke. I'm not even sure who it was. And I said, what string do you? Might have been Mike. What string? I'm like,
Robert
whatever.
pulled one string out of his pocket. He's like,
Yeah.
He's
And
ready for me.
yeah, and he did a whole racket. I'm like, I didn't say anything. I'm like,
America.
yes, dude. So many gauges, so many strings. Oh,
It's Mike's Gamma TNT 18.
no,
gauge.
I'm saying Romania, but yes, yeah, that's TNT. That's
Yeah.
what he put on.
You broke it the very next time you started hitting.
Probably. Yeah.
White
so-
balls, though, I think
white
they
balls,
were
yeah.
like in this.
I played with them, like, I came across like a random can.
I think they were still
I never played like
made
an actual
for
match.
a little bit, like they were around because they would come in the tin,
The aluminum
right? The
cans.
aluminum,
Oh,
yeah. But they weren't really like I thought those. Like when did they start using that ball? It's got to be in the
I don't know. We don't have Ellis here,
70s.
so yeah,
I would
somewhere
think
there.
late 70s.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't much, but we did get a few.
yeah. I mean,
Probably
white
left over.
balls with your string job is the least of your fucking problems.
Yeah, they
kidding
had
me?
like white Friday clinic balls
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
over in Romania.
dude. That's how you learn to deal with it. Dude. Those strings and everything else. It just racket control there, buddy.
Better than a NASA, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, we play with NASA a lot.
Did you?
Oh my God, that was
We had those at Winchester.
Yes.
When I was playing there as a kid, we definitely had them.
so hard.
They got harder and harder. Those things were like
Oh, yeah.
rocks.
Dude, some of the pro pens now,
And Dunlops.
and Donald's the same.
They're
Dude,
bad.
I called the rep. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Because they're way too hard, and something changed within the last little while, and
Or even the tags on them.
yes. Well, the two halves put together, right? So they're, and that's not done properly. Sometimes you see the whole line.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
It's
It's just hard enough playing this game as it is. Now you're gonna give me a
Right.
ball that's like takes a
Oval.
wacky bounce on its own.
yeah.
Are you guys exclusively pro
Yeah.
pen?
Yeah, we are. And what?
We're developing our own ball. Fast River
Wouldn't
ball.
surprise me.
Fast River
Wouldn't
ball.
surprise me.
We're
Mike's staying
debuting
ahead.
in 2026.
Yeah, Mike's staying ahead of the curve.
Uh-huh.
Remember when Mike got that ball pressurizer?
Yeah. It was like the bigger version of like, remember when we were kids, you could get that can and you could
Oh,
like
yeah.
twist it and it would keep the
It was like a mini Gatorade cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was a big, basically like a big pot. It almost looked like it just
It was
shook
this
'em.
big, yeah. I don't know how that worked.
Somehow it shook him and would bring him back to life.
They were pretty hard, though.
That did not. Yeah.
Did not last long.
No.
It's
I mean
tough,
it is what they have.
Try. It's a good idea, huh?
Yeah, that did not work though.
But
And so are pro pens pretty established at a lot of tournaments?
I've seen them at a bunch. Yeah.
I mean, you see the sponsorships on the back
Yeah.
wall, so
I
clearly
don't
that's
know
the
what.
ball.
Right, because that's another unspoken part of it. A lot of tournaments play with, especially leading up to a major. Some of the tournaments have contracts with certain balls. So
Yeah.
they play with different balls, and players are like, well, it's not really helping because it's obviously it's different. It takes a bit to get used to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that is now.
I wonder how many of the U.S. hard courts that lead up to the Open, how many of them are using Wilson U.S. Opens? You know?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, no L is here. He will look it up.
Fact checker.
Yeah, he's good.
We don't really have a lot of the answers here.
Yeah.
We need someone on Google.
Yeah.
At all times.
Oh, yeah, at all times. What's your prediction for this year? Give me some predictions for man, woman.
Well, sadly, I don't see Nadal winning the French if he plays.
Yeah, it's a farewell.
Fairly easy prediction. What I am excited about is to see him and Alcaraz play doubles together at the Olympics.
The Olympics.
Oh man,
That would be amazing.
hopefully they both stay healthy enough, then that pans out, because that would be
Alcaraz is getting injured early because
Yeah.
a little bit, kind of like not worrisome, but
a little
pay
bit
attention. Pay
Yep.
attention to it.
because
he's-
it's major stuff. Because one was an oblique,
Yeah,
right?
that was
That's
before
not
Aussie
good.
Open last year.
Yep.
Now he plays with a sleeve.
Yep. And oblique is like a groin for a hockey goaltender, right? That's just reoccurring, just nagging,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's involved
time
in
consuming.
every move you're making
Yeah.
on the court.
Yep.
So it just can get like re-injured
Yep.
over and over again.
that was not the best match they played in
What's that?
Vegas.
No.
Oh,
No. Too many staged things going on. in
Right?
that. Yeah.
again for the trained tennis side, I was like, eesh. Roddick too. Roddick was saying it. He's like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
He's like, I can't believe their serves. It was not a great match. I mean, I think they had to do it because of the sponsorship, and it was such a big event.
Oh, totally.
And Nadal, I bet you Nadal was willing to drop out.
Yeah.
This is just my opinion, but they had to do it. But it was
In what way?
not great.
Like
yeah, there were some
shitty points or like
yeah. They couldn't feel the court. Nadal hasn't played a match in months. Alcaraz had a rolled ankle a few weeks before, so he hasn't played at all up until that time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, there were some shots that you're like,
Yeah,
no one in the top 300 is missing that shot.
correct.
You know?
Yeah. But also, because the different altitude in Vegas too, right? So that had a lot to do with it, and they weren't used to it. And yeah, it was, I mean, look, they put on a show. It was Nadal's first time in a while.
Oh,
and
totally.
That was good, but
Yeah, it fed your recreational players big time.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Roddick, do you listen to his podcast?
I have not yet. I listened to parts of it.
Is it pretty good?
It's really good,
Good.
actually.
And he's very, I like it.
Yeah, he breaks stuff down. He's another gem for Tennis Channel, but it's a lot of him and John Wertheim.
Yep.
John Wertheim's great.
He's got a lot of info, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a lot of info. He's very educated. He brought up an interesting point that I wanted to talk about here. How much do you know about the PIF and, the sponsors, the Saudi Arabians, and with the contracts with the ATP and WTA? And
Is this essentially going to be the ATP's version of Live Golf?
I think something like that, yeah.
And
But-
Nadal's affiliated with this, correct?
I think he's their ambassador or something.
Okay.
But
He's essentially their Phil Mickelson.
I think so. I'm not sure how that's gonna, how that's gonna play out. But Roddick brought in his podcast a good point about WTA looking at the possibility of partnering up with them, and he's like, well, it's gonna be tough because now all that they stand for, equality and everything else, now they take the money
Yep.
from a place that does not really stand for all those morals.
Not at all.
So how is that gonna go?
Oh,
You know?
it's going to look like the WTA is talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So he was talking about it, and I appreciate that because you need somebody like that. You need somebody with his
Yeah.
influence and results and so forth to be honest about it.
Yeah.
Because and the same thing with ATP. I'm not sure the finals is somewhere. I can't remember the WTA finals is somewhere in Saudi Arabia, right? You know that?
I don't know.
I think yeah. So I don't know where that's gonna go. What happened? Do you know much about the golf? How did that play out?
The only thing that I paid attention to was people like Rory McIlroy.
Yep.
He was the biggest. He was advocating for the PGA. You know, he was very outspoken about LIV and not a fan. And
those guys have so much money, man.
yeah, Tiger to a certain extent was speaking out about it and how bad of an idea it was. But then again, I don't know a ton about it, but I want to say that they've more or less sort of partnered with one another.
They did. They kind of came out
Cut a
with an
deal.
agreement, right? They cut a deal.
Yeah.
So
it would be disappointing to see something like this. Like, I know that the players have their gripes about the length of the season and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And the ATP definitely has some things they can fix.
Yep.
But I don't find it to be a broken product.
No, not at all.
You know? So it would be really disappointing to dilute the ATP because, 15, 30, whatever, 50 guys go over to play in this Saudi league.
Yeah.
Now what are we watching?
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching the NFL when the NFL guys are on strike. Watching. This isn't the best complete product,
They obviously it's been a long time since they got into soccer. They bought all those teams and all that, which it's so much money in there. And now golf, and they're going for tennis, and I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that one yet, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure where's it going.
It would work in the sense that they would just take whoever went and they would just start up their own tour with those guys. There would be a whole line of tournaments that those guys would be in, and it like just a separate tour that runs alongside the
sure
ATP.
what the end game is, but if you look now, if you look on the ATP website, you're going to see PIF rankings. You look at all the tournaments, you're going to see PIF on the back draw and all that. And, it becomes the main sponsor, right? Was the end game here? I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go. They're promising a lot of money for the players and all that, which is, in a way, I think it's a good idea. Like, Dan Kyagra, man, said that once a long time ago, like 20 years ago, that you can be the 200 anything in the world, and you are well set for life. You're number 200 tennis player in the world, which is unbelievable. You're struggling.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
right. I think he elaborated on that if you're not inside the top 50,
probably
you are not.
Yeah, just because of everything you're paying out to be there, to be able to make that happen.
Yeah,
correct. So I think those guys are looking for.
Yeah.
Because one way to think of this, like, it should be some sort of pension or some sort of like, the tour is making a lot of money. The tournaments make a lot of money.
Oh, for sure.
I saw Jose Guerra's letter to USTA, how those guys are. Did you see that letter?
No.
It's if watch YouTube, Jose Guerra's letter about the USTA, how they said they stopped their junior player financing program and development program. They don't want to put money into it and so forth, and now you're not going to have. But he said the U.S. Open alone makes $300 million. Makes 300, not brings it in, but that's how much they make off it, right? So
that's their net.
Yeah. So all those tournaments make so much money. The ATP makes a lot of money, right? With everything they do, which is fine, it's good. But your product, your players are, if you compare with an NFL, which is I know is the top of the, or like soccer, and like, they're not making anywhere near that.
No.
Those guys are like, eat what you kill.
Yeah.
Week in, week out. And I don't know if that's fair. If you think of it, should evolve. Like if you're in top 50, you're top 50 for like how many weeks or months or whatever, you get X amount of money for this amount of bonuses or when you retired.
Yeah.
When you retired, because you put money into it, like goes back to like a Fed, right? He brought the game to such a different level. The game is making money of that now.
Can you imagine playing at the pro level where you are top 100 in the world, the top 100 out of everyone that plays,
Right.
yet you're now still struggling to make a living
That's what I'm saying.
doing that, and you're like, dude, top 100,
I know.
top 100.
Well, it was one of the points that Kyrgios made when they approved the coaching idea.
Mhm.
He said, "You're actually just making the rich richer."
That's what we talked about it before. Yeah.
He said,
Even about when
you have all
Of
these
what they have
guys that are
access to.
well outside the top 10.
How can
20,
you afford
25.
that?
They don't have teams,
correct,
so it's
correct.
you're really only rewarding the people who continue to have success.
The discrepancy is going to be that much bigger,
Yes.
right? And
Because they can pay for the best
coaches and analysts.
and staff and everything they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally have a team,
Right. Yeah.
Think about how many people sit in Sinner's box or
Yeah.
Alcaraz's box.
Right.
And then you see a poor guy they play in a first round at U.S. Open on Arthur Ashe. The guy's got stickers all over him
Yeah.
because the sponsor are calling him. Of course, the guy's gonna take it off, But that guy's making nothing. But the people know that he's gonna be there for like 2 hours in prime time.
Yeah.
So
Load them up.
load him up.
Yeah.
Load him up. So that's
You wouldn't be able to see my shirt. If I had that shot, I would be head to toe in stickers. I'd get a tattoo if I needed to. I'd get
We're not
Tyson
sure what
face
color his
tattoo.
attire is.
Yeah.
It's littered with advertisements.
yeah.
And then I'd retire. That one match. I'd pimp myself out for that one match.
But yeah, so I think that's something that it can be done. It can be looked at, right? I know it's tough. How do you do it? Because the rankings change all the time. But dude, if your top NFL team has whatever 54, how many guys on the roster? 50 something,
50 something. Yeah.
54, whatever it is. 2 of those teams are top 100, right? The Super Bowl teams, are top 100 players in the world.
Right.
Those guys make a lot of dough,
Yeah.
right? You don't see that in tennis. And
Yeah, I mean, you
it's
have guys
massive
making a lot
sport.
of dough that aren't even
Correct.
playing.
And you spread that out through the entire NFL or
right.
NBA or whatever, you name it, right? It's so much money there. And I know the viewership is bigger, but I think tennis is more of a global sport than we think.
Yeah, there's like
Definitely.
at least for. I mean, there's contract minimums, right? For
Correct.
like football or basketball, like all these sports, right? There's like if once you play, there's a minimum that you automatically get paid. No.
Yeah, all of those leagues are structured such that as a rookie, this is the maximum you can make. This is the minimum. Then each league has its own set of rules for you establishing yourself in the league.
Right.
So, example might be the NHL is you got to be in the league 3 years, then you upgrade to this being your minimum.
So there you go, yeah.
So it's
Right.
It's incentivizing you to keep working hard and stay in the league.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what the minimum number of years are for NBA, NFL, etc.
I'm sure they're all somewhat.
Oh yeah, it's
Similar.
all kind of the same thing. It's just everybody has their own mutually exclusive set of rules.
So in tennis, you just got to go out there and grind it out,
Grind it
get
out.
wins,
Right?
play tournament after tournament.
It's
after
crazy
tournament.
though, because if this PIF thing really succeeds, if you're 350 in the world, see you later. I'm heading to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I don't see a bright future for myself, and
Because their promise is what? Just
I don't
money.
know the
Well,
facts, but it's
what though? How is it going to be different than you're making more money in less rounds, or you're?
I think
and
appearance
using-
fees, I think that type of stuff. But I'm not sure if they're looking to create a new like a totally different tour or just change the layout of the existing one with sponsorships and everything else behind it. I really need to look into it more before I chat more about it. But
I mean,
if that's not a bad idea.
If they're going to go the model of Live, I think that's essentially what Live was doing. They were just playing their own
thing, yes.
tour
Yes.
and
offering guys more money.
boatloads of money.
I think they're looking to do something different. They might have learned from that. They're looking to,
Okay.
I think they were looking to change the structure, be the sponsorship of the ATP, buy it in a way, and change the structure of it. But again, I don't know much about it. But some sort of pension idea is not a bad. Maybe tennis is on its way to that. Maybe it's developing to that.
Yeah, you hope so.
Because look, if somebody's in top 50, man, like if you're in top 50 for a year, you get X amount of money. Top 50 for 2 years, X. You know what? It's a paid. So you have it for 10 years, 15 years, whatever you do. So that you play into a tour. Then now, like you put your life into it. Your best years, your best physical years of your life. You should get a little bit back.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what Higueras was saying in his letter, that USDA started taking a lot of money away. They keep hiring all sorts of people for financially have nothing to do with tennis or for becoming a big corporation. And if it goes that way, I mean, to take money from the U.S. player development program, that's
And put
That's
it towards what though? What do they?
nothing. Just stick it away. Take it. He was saying something in that letter. If people can watch it on YouTube.
What else would you want to be putting it into?
Correct.
Except
Correct.
developing
Your product.
right.
Right.
But you're saying they're putting it into these sort of made-up positions.
Correct.
Corporate
That's what he
positions.
was saying. That's what he was saying. That and then said they made a $1 million holiday party. So it's they're working a lot of money. He named some names there and but it was a big. Roddick was talking about that too. I saw a clip on that. So that's interesting because that should put some pressure on USDA too. It costs a lot of money, man. If you have a talent that doesn't have the money, we all know how much that costs.
Oh, yeah.
How many of those cases do we have? How many cases in the States that if you don't have the money, then
Right.
how do you?
Think about how much money a family spends just to have their kid be a pretty good high school player.
Correct.
Lessons, clinics, memberships.
Tennis is not cheap. I mean, all sports now, man. All
Right.
sports.
Right.
So for the USDA to take that money away,
Yeah.
that's a bad move because the USDA is making a lot of money now.
Yeah. And they're not, I mean, we've got a few players here and there.
We're not. There's no.
No, there's no Sampras Agassi Courier anymore.
Who do you see potential of number one in the U.S. right
Being
now?
the best U.S. player or projected number one player in the world?
Correct.
Projected number one player in the world. We don't have it right now.
I have a small hope for Sepp Korda.
Actually, yeah. I mean, if you take Korda, Shelton, Fritz, and Tommy Paul.
Yep.
Those are probably our 4 biggest players, right?
Yep.
Korda's definitely the most fun to watch, in my opinion.
Yes, for me too.
He's a great ball striker.
Oh,
good
man,
athlete.
so clean. Yeah.
He can do everything
Calm,
out there. Yeah.
Very calm.
Sadly, like as exciting as Shelton is to watch, too many high highs and too many low lows. That guy's emotions are going to burn him out.
Too much.
Way too much.
Way too much. Yeah.
He'll win a big point at 2-all in the first set, and he's losing his mind. And his dad is sitting there. Looks like he just took a sedative.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, how are these two people related?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's also like technically. I think they have a lot of work to do with him.
Oh, I agree. But he's actually relatively new to tennis.
Correct.
Which is crazy. He's just a freak athlete.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
You see sometimes how he finishes that forehand?
Yeah.
Those guys can see that, man. They see him on a tour for a year or two. They'll start seeing his serving patterns, which they can change, and obviously that's always going to be tough to break. But if he doesn't get that forehand or that rally ball, I saw him play. He was playing Musetti. He was playing Musetti.
Fun to watch.
Fun to watch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, pretty backhand, man.
Oh, yeah.
He was playing him there, and dude, every time the ball was going to neutral, 7 out of 10 times, he was going to win that point. He's very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
But when you break down the game a little bit, he gives too much away.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah. He's like your classic nighttime session, U.S. Open.
First, second
I'm going to
round.
entertain you,
Yes.
the first week, but I won't see you week 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then going back to that list, like Fritz is a guy like who were we talking earlier who has kind of maxed out his potential.
Correct.
Fritz is like Diminar.
Yes. Yeah.
There's not a lot there.
No.
And Anacone brought out everything he could out of that guy.
He did.
You know, and Anacone did a great job getting him to where he is, but I think he's hit his ceiling. And Tommy Paul's fun to watch because he's just an athlete.
So with him, I have a little hope there that, do you see what he did at Miami? Was it Miami or Indian Wells? He started coming in like crazy.
Yeah.
He was doing good too.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
So, look, maybe he can adapt that style at times.
Yeah.
So that can add something. Because he can do it. He's a very good athlete.
Oh, big time.
He can do stuff. But
Yeah.
Sepp Korda, to me, is the one that...
He's pretty complete.
He is.
You know?
He is. And a few years ago, they were saying that their plan was not for him to explode when he was 20. They have a plan for him to when he's 22, 20. He's there now, but injuries kind of got to him a little bit.
It was a wrist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Australia last year. That's when he was in the quarters against Hashanov, and he was a favorite. So he could have got to the semis.
Right.
And he retired after the first set.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he's fun to watch.
He is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, back to your predictions, Ron, for this year.
I mean, obviously, it's easy to suggest that Sinner and Alcaraz will have good years. I like Zverev's, making some moves now after the ankle injury. Much beyond those guys, I don't know.
Where's Djokovic in your mind this year?
He'll definitely. I think he's more impactful at Wimbledon than the French. Like, I just don't know where his match count is at right now. He really hasn't been playing, correct? And I just think there's a handful of guys that are more likely to beat him on clay than they are likely to beat him on grass. I think the pool of people that can beat him on clay is bigger than the pool of people who can beat him on grass.
Djokovic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm never rooting for the guy. I'm never rooting for the guy.
Not many people are. Yeah.
Is there any fans? Does he have any? I never hear anyone rooting for that guy. Like, there's always people that
The numbers
people don't
guys
like,
are rooting
but
for the
they're-
guy. The numbers guys, not the tennis artistic guys. I mean, there's some, and you got to respect the numbers. But he's not. We talked about it before. He's not really
Numbers guys, what? Oh, like looking for him to
records
break
and all that,
records.
because he's got
and-
that.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Did you watch the 60 Minutes piece on him?
I have not. What
No.
did it say?
So my brother-in-law, Heather's older brother,
Jeff?
yeah, Jeff gets all of his.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff gets a lot of his tennis information from me, and what's fun is Jeff and his older son have become massive tennis fans as a result of Carlos Alcaraz.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
There you go.
So Jeff all along has constantly asked me, why don't I like Djokovic? Why don't I like him? And the biggest thing I go back to is his just need to be liked.
Yes.
Right? He won't accept the fact that people don't like him, so he's just going to try to be liked wherever he goes.
Right.
And he's going to show these videos of, hey, look at me playing with the ball, kids. It gets exhausting sometimes. But I will say the 60 Minutes piece, which it was on too long ago for me to recall exactly what it was, but it definitely brought my level of respect up for him. I mean, I fully respect the guy, hard worker, super disciplined, and just he kills himself out there,
Yeah, he does.
And
he does a lot of those things, but it certainly doesn't make him any more likable.
Yeah.
Which is too bad because it's like
I can't
some
say
of that gets
I can't say I necessarily liked him more as a result of the 60 Minutes
Respected him
piece.
a little bit more.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right, my respect has to go up here. It was that. What was cool, one of the things that does resonate with me, because I clipped the video and sent it to some of the hockey players that I coached, just dealing with the mental challenges out there. And what he was sharing, it was
He's
John,
very good with that.
it was John Wertheim who I think was interviewing him for the 60 Minutes piece. And Djokovic, even now, this many major championships in his bank, it's like he talks about when stuff's just not going right out there, and he's like, oh no, there's a complete shitstorm going on in my mind.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just like practicing my forehand and my backhand. I've just practiced the ability to get myself out of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how long am I going to sit here in this shitstorm before I can get to the other side of it?
There's an absolute skill that he has. With
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And he can look at shining at the biggest moments on a tennis life, like Wimbledon 2019 final.
Yep.
With down 8-9, 7-8, something like 7-8 to Federer.
Yep.
Federer was serving 40-15.
Yep.
Comes with those returns. U.S. Open semifinal there, same thing, 45.
Slice serve out wide.
Yeah, there you go. They did the same thing in a Wimbledon final.
Yep.
So that's an absolute skill. I think with him is like, just be authentic, be you, be fine with who you are. Don't try to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Be fine that you're a guy that is feeding of emotion, that you let the animal out.
Yeah.
Because that's what gets you the results. And be fine with that, accept it.
Yeah.
If you're be like, look, there's an animal that comes out when I play. And that's how I play. It's the only way I know.
Yep.
People will respect that more than try to do all those other things. That like, just be authentic.
Yeah.
Be you.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I said it in the last time we talked, I think there's trailblazers, and there's a repeat, but in each sport. And Federer and Nadal push the sport.
Oh, 100%.
Beyond. And to me, and I love Fed and biased, yeah. But it's easy when you made the path, it's easy to follow the path.
Yep.
Those guys open the path to parts of tennis that haven't been explored before. Now you have somebody with the desire and work ethic and dedication, and they'll follow that path. And
Yep.
you know, records are meant to be broken.
100%.
That doesn't necessarily make you the GOAT.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You follow a blueprint that was created by somebody.
Yes.
Those people created the blueprint. You followed it and you broke it. But you didn't make your own blueprint.
Right. Right.
So I don't know.
And that'll be an ongoing debate until he finally retires, or even probably beyond that. But you know, you side with the Federer fans side with Federer being the GOAT because it was more it's not just the Grand Slams, it's the artistry.
The skill. You're watching every point.
Yeah, here's a boatload of things I can do on a tennis court that none of you will ever understand how to even put it together.
How many oohs
Right?
were when Fed was playing?
Right.
Just watch that. Just poetry on a tennis court.
Well, this comment that Mike made so long ago, it was probably right around 07 when Fed's having one of those years, right?
Yep.
Where it was just crazy off the charts stats and stuff. And Mike somehow got on the topic of Fed's footwork, and Mike said, the guy plays tennis like he's on a conveyor belt. You know?
That's a good way to put it,
Never
Lapierre.
off balance.
Yeah.
Never off balance. It's just amazing.
Floaty out there.
Yeah. And I follow all these people.
Gliding.
Yeah. I follow all these people on Twitter who are like massive Fed fans, like tennis coaches, things like that.
of course.
And they're constantly still posting videos like, I miss this guy. I miss this. I miss this point. You know, it's just so fun to watch.
And you forget, man, that was the same thing. Like, after he retired, I still have that recorded. And I was talking to Rachel. We went to dinner one night, and I was chatting, and I'm like, I'm not drawn to watch tennis.
Yeah.
She's like, well, it's obvious. You morning Fed. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was true. That was it. It's just like you lost something that you're looking forward to.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if we didn't lose it. You were living that because it was so... And it's important for people like that don't watch him to watch a little bit of that because haven't seen him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to see anything like it.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's why it's nice to have a resurgence or a surge of
Correct.
of an Alcaraz.
Which now
Or a
follows
resurgence.
this,
Right.
not the same footprint, but now
I mean,
becomes his own thing.
eventually someone else does come along.
Correct. And it's Alcaraz now.
They
Yeah.
start
Doing
creating
their own thing.
Again,
Correct.
where people are like, oh,
Correct.
it won't end with him.
No.
You know?
But for you at that stage of your life, for me at that stage of my life, and tennis, and how much you love the sport and everything else, and then what that guy did, and how you teach it, and how you present yourself, that was him.
Oh yeah.
Right? And for many, many, many people.
For me, it was that, who was that German tennis player that used to hack butts on the changeovers?
Karsten Brush.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty trailblazing. Who the hell? Guys. Is that a Parliament Light? 3-2? Yikes. What's that guy
It's
doing?
like a guy that I didn't even play him, but we would have like conference championships down at UConn, and this guy from Ireland, off the boat Ireland, playing for Northeastern, #1 player for Northeastern.
Yeah.
So like UConn has, I don't know, 12, 14 courts, but they're all 2x2. So you're just going down this row. And one side is closest to the parking lot, you're more visible. The other side is along the woods. This #1 player from Northeastern on changeovers is just huffing butts. And my teammates and I are like, what's happening over there? And meanwhile, he's just wiping the court with
Mopping,
somebody,
yeah,
just,
yeah.
It's not
I
even
know.
close.
You always have
Wild.
those guys, man. Yeah.
Wild.
But it was, like you were saying, it was common back in the day for those guys to smoke. A lot of them to smoke.
Yeah. I mean, not on changeovers necessarily. But
I'm not even talking about the highest level, but I'm talking about like...
It's just an NCAA sport. Like, you can't smoke. It's 1997.
Dude. I lived with a kid who, roommate that before he would get out of bed in the morning, would just
Amazing.
light up a butt.
Yeah.
Pat Flynn would just like light up a butt and sit there, and sometimes before
That was his
one
morning
gone,
routine?
Before that one was gone, sometimes he'd be like, I need one more today. Grab one more and then light the new one off
the-
his old one and then
Oh,
like get
yeah.
rid of that and then just sit there. I'm like,
In your
in
room.
a small dorm room. I'm like, dude.
Chain smoking at 19.
Oh, yeah, fucking double lung transplant already, I'm sure, but
Yikes.
starting.
And you were in the room with him and you never
Yeah.
smoked?
No,
Well, you have, but...
but reminded me of being like my parents would drive around when I was a kid, and like
Yeah.
the windows would be up and would just be ripping
Yeah.
butts. I thought I suffered from major car sickness growing up, and it wasn't that at all. It was just like nicotine poisoning from sitting in the back seat of smoke. Like once I was in a car with people that weren't trapping me in with all the smoke, I'm like, you know what? I'm not even car sick. What do you know? It had nothing to do with the car. It was just being trapped in. Ugh. Can't imagine starting my day with a butt.
No.
Oh, and
not
I'm
at
just... Yeah.
Or playing a sport and then like coming off and being like, oh, I gotta run to the woods and
Yeah.
smoke a butt. Ugh.
Yeah. No, that's not going to help me run faster. That's for sure.
Imagine the coaches, man.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the coaches? Like, I had all of my coaches up until even college. They all smoked.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't
It was
there a
like-
pro at Winchester who?
Lloyd
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah, I
He was
never
the
knew
tennis
Lloyd.
director before Mike. He used to actually, pretty sure he would teach down on court 6.
Yeah.
And when his lessons were done, he'd go out the back door and they'd walk around
Yeah.
outside, and he would rip a butt, like after every, on the hour, like after every lesson, and grab his new one and come back in. But
Wild.
yeah, he was one of those guys that always smelled like butts, and that smell gets
gross.
on you. There's like no
No.
mistaking it. It's
No, you have
like
to quit
it's
for
really,
months
really
to lose that.
Yeah. Dude, the ladies' tour was Virginia Slims.
Oh, yeah?
It was sponsored
Right.
by cigarettes.
That's
Gross.
Did you see in Madrid? It was funny. Moutet. I like that guy. Corentin Moutet is a French player, tiny player, very good hands. Is the guy that I said a while ago that he actually started hitting underhand serves as a second serve, not even as a surprise tactic, but as a strategy, because he's tiny, and those guys were eating up his second serve.
Yeah.
So he started getting under. He actually did.
How is that working?
Not
It-
well.
Yeah, I mean, he did a couple of points.
I'm asking because I'm thinking about implementing it. Does it work?
So he beat Jari in.
Okay, yeah.
I think maybe it was in Chile, but I'm not sure where. Anyways, two funny things happened. He was playing one of those outside courts, and this big battle. It was actually a 4-hour battle versus a Chinese player, Zhang. They're in the middle of the point, and there's a court behind them. And there's a groundskeeper watering the court with a hose. The guy doesn't give a fuck. So he goes all the way. So Moutet is playing a match on TV.
He's getting sprayed.
He's getting sprayed from the back.
How does that guy not know what's happening?
No idea.
Right. He's got his headphones in. He's not.
Not only that, Moutet stopped, and the referee was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "What do you mean? What am I doing? Look behind." He had to plead his case to the referee and showed his back, and it was all wet.
Oh my God.
So because they thought he gave up on the point. Like, what do you mean? Like, look behind. This is the guy in the back. They kept on showing.
Groundskeeper. It's like Bill Murray from Caddyshack over there with the hose.
Groundskeeper Willie from The Simpsons.
Yeah,
And then what this guy does, like later in the match, is in the third set, again, 4-hour match, he goes and he's asking the chair umpire for a coffee.
No way.
Yeah. And he's
Moutet?
like, yeah, Moutet. And she's like, well, we don't deliver coffee. He's like, I saw Wawrinka getting a coffee. He's like, I want a coffee.
Did they give him one?
No, he said, I asked, but we're not delivering coffee. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, I want a coffee. Finally, a fan gave him an espresso. So he went to a fan, got an espresso cup with sugar and milk, and it was this whole thing. It's so funny, man.
That's pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
Isn't it?
So over there,
Yeah.
I like it a little lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He went to the chair
Getting
umpire
caramel.
like he was a waiter. I was like, I want a coffee. The guy's like, I can call for a trainer, but getting you a coffee is like,
Yeah.
It was a gal, actually. It was a lady.
Yeah,
That could be the
38.
move. Be like, I'm cramping up. Can I see the trainer? Tell him to bring a coffee. Too.
Saw Monfils, right? He was getting some Cokes.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he was drinking Cokes on the court. And
For what, a quick sugar rush?
yeah, getting sprayed by the hose is the funniest thing. And you keep seeing the guy in the back not giving a shit.
No, he's getting paid minimum wage.
Yeah, the guy's like, look, man, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Yeah.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm an adult and I'm sweeping courts and watering. That's my job.
Right.
All right, Ronan, where do you see tennis in the States?
Sadly, I'll bring up the subject of pickleball because I think it's a serious enemy to the sport.
Yes.
You know?
It's easier.
Oh, it's far easier.
It's easier.
It's way easier. So, yeah, sadly they're taking over the courts. They're either relining them or they're completely converting them from tennis to pickle.
It still hasn't been here that long, though, right? Are we 100% convinced that in
We don't have enough info
10
on it,
years
but
from now, pickleball is still going to really be crushing it? Like,
I
is
have
there
a
a
theory
chance
on
it just...
I have a theory on it, but yeah, and my theory on it is that the unhealthier the population gets,
Right.
the more pickleball is going to be more accessible.
Right. And you're still in this, not still, I don't see it changing. You're in this instant gratification
Quick hit,
headspace.
quick
You
dopamine
know,
hit. Yeah.
You know, I forget what they said. I think it might be like Bella's older.
Yeah.
Might be like Bella and Ian's age, right? Those kids have never lived without phones.
Right.
Or like devices or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that's the instant gratification people. So you take a sport like pickleball,
Yeah.
that's into instant gratification.
Right.
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 Tennis, at least one of the things I love about tennis is how
You have to put in like a little work.
well, it's
before there's a
challenging.
payoff on
yeah,
it.
but
Yeah.
there's
The
like
reward is way bigger, but you got to work harder for
right.
it. Right.
There's a lot more intricacies to tennis because you want to be successful, you're going to have good technique.
Right.
Right. There's
Right.
the work ethic to having good technique. You can be
You have
successful.
to really buy into that, though. That's
Right.
like that's the hardest part, right? When you first start this game, is you have to get over the hump.
Yeah.
And to get over the hump, some of it is like, all right, just find this body in racket position
Yep.
and do that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And like, by the way, when you do that at first, it doesn't work as well as when you just do it the wrong way.
Right.
And you have to like really buy, like that's a hard thing for even adults to get over, or especially kids, where you can kind of get up and running in some other stuff way faster. Definitely with, I mean, pickleball, you'd hit like by the 6th time, you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I got
okay,
it.
I got
Exactly.
this now.
You know, but you know this instant gratification whole idea where pickleball you're going to pick up faster, you won't pick up tennis as fast. But as a coach of tennis, when your answer to them, you know, they're looking for insight, like why does this keep happening? Why is this not getting better? And your only response is you need more reps.
Yep.
Like that sometimes just isn't satisfactory to them.
Right.
You know,
Again,
it's-
quick hit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
It just falls into the whole
Right. Or they can even be like, well, how many reps? And you're like, well, it's different for everybody.
right. Right.
We don't know.
Right.
We'll know when it starts happening.
Exactly.
And they're like,
How-
you know what, I'm going to play pickle. We'll
Right.
see you later.
Probably the right answer would be like, hey, you picked the hardest sport or one of the hardest sports on the planet.
Right.
Tennis
Yeah.
requires a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right. It's always amazing. Like we've all experienced this, you know, the mom drops the kid off and it's like, well, we've tried basketball, we've tried hockey, we've tried soccer, we've tried billiards. So
Right.
we just figured tennis is probably
Right.
the right
Ooh.
solution,
Yeah.
you know?
You have to move. You have to
Seems easy
swing an
enough.
object on a moving ball. They can come in any type of shape.
Yeah.
And spin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
You should have tried this first.
And even more so, it's tough to compete with, like when we went away a few years ago and there was all these pickle courts at this place we were staying. There was really nice tennis courts, beautiful clay courts down in Hilton Head. No one was playing on the clay courts.
Yeah.
The pickleball courts were packed. But there was a lot. We were down there with my girls and Erica and some friends and their kids, and we actually went to play a little bit. And we couldn't even, it took us, we had to book 3 days out to get like
It's crazy.
our court. But one
I
of the
know,
things that
right?
was happening was besides like old people playing with old people and young playing with young, this and that, there was definitely like you could look around and I could tell it was like grandparents playing with grandkids.
Yes.
That like, no doubt, maybe the grandparents played and the kids had never played or vice versa. And within an hour, they were all properly challenging each other.
Oh, yeah.
We're like on a tennis court. If you have some tennis players, so I'm going out with my Nana who plays tennis and I've
Yeah.
never played and I'm 11 and she can kind of play and then I really can't play, or vice versa. I play and she can't. And we're out there after an hour, after a half hour, like, all right, let's figure out something else to do. It's not that much fun. We're like pickle all of a sudden, like it's so quickly gets everybody, which is, I mean, that's kind of what's grabbing people, right? Is that there's not as much work. So right off the bat, everybody can kind of play with everybody and properly challenge each other.
Yeah.
That's the skill level required is low for a satisfactory experience.
Yes.
You don't need to do much. Yeah, so keep going with the pickleball.
Do you play?
I teach it. We have a couple courts at BlackRock.
Is there a lot of demand for lessons?
A decent amount. Yeah. I think
Now, is a lesson required?
I have like
For real?
I have
Like
a clinic program schedule. Yeah. So I have adult clinics.
They
I-
run a half hour or an hour?
an hour. Yeah, I run.
And other levels, beginner, intermediate, advanced?
I keep it simple, just in an effort to create a demand, because we're not quite there yet. Because so pickleball is kind of taking on the same USTA structure, you know. So they're using a decimal system to, you know, rate players. So 2-5.
I think
3-0,
that's
blah, blah,
gonna
blah.
that's gonna change that sport. Go
the
ahead.
rating system.
Yes.
Yeah.
For better or worse?
No, it's gonna make it. I think it's gonna make it the same as tennis. Now you're gonna start having levels, and right now it's so social because numbers is small, but it's growing. So when the numbers are growing, now you need to spread this, like the levels. You got to split people and so forth. So I think that's gonna start creating, because tennis is unique that way. You got to play within your level.
Yeah.
Right.
But when it initially started, pickleball, everybody can play with everybody. That's gonna
Right.
change now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's gonna change big time.
So, like, for example, a beginner clinic for pickleball, it's the scoring can be so challenging for people. So you might have a 3.5 tennis player come to a beginner clinic because they have no
Don't know
idea
how
how to
to-
keep the score.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's a little strange in that you have people showing up who actually have decent racket skills, but they're mostly showing up because they're not quite sure what the strategy is and how to keep score.
Yeah.
But then as soon as they figure that out, then they just totally advance to the next clinic.
Do you see a
Right.
bit of a, like, people like level discrepancy and like kind of people observing that and wanting to stay away from levels that are not theirs, or no? Like
What do
a
you
good
mean?
player, like you're a high end of pickleball, right? Would you play with his grandparents?
Don't point to me. Oh, I was gonna say you don't know anything about my game, bro.
So this is what I'm discovering about the sport. Okay,
Yeah.
so I get out there and I'll coach my clinics.
Yeah.
And if my clinics require you have to have at least 3 people sign up in order for it to run, but I can run the clinic from anywhere from 3 people all the way to 8 people. So I'll
Yeah.
run like 2 courts, right?
Yeah.
If I have to play in and it's at a level that's not that great, it gets to be tedious. It definitely gets to be kind of tedious.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I'm gonna see happen. That's gonna be there.
Yeah. I have had experiences where I've played with people who have pretty similar racket skills, and that was actually pretty fun. However, I'd still much rather be on a tennis court.
Right.
You know, and it's the same, my opinion is the same for a sport like platform tennis.
Yep.
I enjoy playing paddle. I enjoy playing pickle. When it boils down to it, I would so much rather be on a tennis court.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah. We talked with Leahy that last time he and I played a match here a month ago or so. And we were in this like tight match, long point, and after one of those fun points is like, man, this sport is so hard,
Yeah.
but so fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's the reward is
Right.
it's related to the work that you put in.
Yeah.
You know, like you achieve a very tough task of hitting a 100 miles per hour serve coming into you, dealing with a slice angle, dealing with a volley, dealing with a fast player on the other side, and you somehow won that point
Yeah.
through your athleticism. So however further you push yourself, that's how much bigger the reward is.
Yeah.
There's limitations on pickleball, obviously, right? Speed, reaction speed, and so forth. That's tough, but it is fun. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's
I mean,
gonna go.
I came up here and played in one of those Davis Cup matches, and I hadn't played a competitive match before that.
That's right.
Probably since last August.
Yeah.
You know, so my competitive match list is about as short as you can get. But I played in that match for the Davis Cup thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is so fun.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish my schedule allowed more time to do this.
I know.
It was just, and the tennis was like pretty good, you know. It wasn't like back in the day where it would be like me and Seth and like you
Yeah.
two or something like that. It was, you know, the tennis was pretty good
Yeah.
relative to that. That was so fun, you know.
Yeah.
So continue with so pickleball. You see pickleball kind of chipping away at our sport.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately at the end, I would say that tennis would win. It just has a larger foundation, you know, I would hope.
Will that kind of push to a change on the way we as industry and coaches approach it, tennis, to make it somehow more fun earlier or more competitive earlier? Or because we talked about this before, right? In tennis, like you play your first match after 60 hours on the court,
Right.
maybe 80 hours on the court.
Right.
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 For pickleball, you 15 minutes, you're like, let's play a
Right.
point.
Exactly.
So will that kind of press the tennis industry to make some changes on one approach on how you
But it,
teach it?
tennis has always
Can
been
you-
like that compared to other sports too.
Correct.
This one's a little closer because it's
But
like
this one-
literally a racket sport. But I mean,
Correct.
basketball, soccer, you have your kid, you're like have your first practice, and then the next week you have your
Yeah.
first game.
Yeah.
Tennis, you have your first clinic, and like, when's my first game, coach? You're like, well, probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Right.
You got to grow into this one.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, well, you're not even using a real ball yet.
So are you sort of asking, do you see, this is like an example and not necessarily like an absolute, like do you see the USTA going to a 2.0 league or a 1.5 league or something like that? Is that sort of what you're asking?
I'm asking,
Like,
yeah.
Are we going to find ways to almost accept tennis played at a weaker
Starting at a lower level.
level? Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying here mostly is
1.5 sectionals.
are we
I'm sorry.
Edit.
are we gonna see a 65 plus 10 and under court with green dot ball league? Are we gonna see a 2.0 red dot ball on a 10 and under court.
Wow.
With adults, you mean?
Adults.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Are we gonna see that type of stuff?
I don't- yeah.
Are you a 2.0 orange ball now?
Yeah.
Are you a 2.0?
I feel like it's
Green
harder
dot.
to get adults to buy into that on a like pickle. It's like it is what it is. That's the court they're
Right.
playing.
This
on.
is the
On
sport.
The sport. That is like I feel like even though that would probably actually helpful in people
Yeah.
building their skills,
1,000%.
they would just be
Right.
like, no, I don't want to do. I want to
Yeah.
play real.
Yeah, but you the same way you have levels in USDA and everybody's USDA is so I don't know, so basic.
Yeah.
You enter at 2.5 and 3.0, 3.5. Tough to get to 4.0. Very tough to get to 4.5. Never gonna get to 5.0 if you
Right.
learn tennis later on, right? So
Right,
now you have
right.
4 steps. What if you make it a 15-step approach? No, you start a red ball.
Yeah.
You start a red ball this year. You just pick it up.
Do you guys do clinics for adults with colored balls?
No.
So I think the Weymouth Club does.
Yeah.
I think so.
We were talking about it, and the other way, the other end of what I was thinking a little bit is you have a 65 plus green dot on reduced court, 10 and under court, 70, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, we have a bunch of those older guys that come in, but I think they'll have a way better time playing with a green dot ball on a shorter court.
Right. I mean, they're going to get there. They're going to.
They would. It would the buy-in on that.
It's the ego,
Really,
the ego part of
really,
it.
Really hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
the ego part of it. But again, you have to fight on that. And
Yeah.
if you make it a standard, that's your map, that's the blueprint. So you instead of having one ladder, one scale,
Right.
you have multiples.
Right. It's more of a bell curve. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that going to force us to do that?
I wonder how long it will be before pickle is being played at like. I mean, no colleges offer it yet, right? Like you can't play college pickle anywhere, can you?
so
I mean, that's got to be at some point in the
I
next
think
few
that's
years,
very
right?
much down the road. Yes.
Right?
I,
It's just gonna all of a sudden,
I would see it being an NCAA sport. Probably
Right.
start at the club level. Right. It's not
Right.
like actual
but
scholarship.
probably gains momentum pretty quickly, and then it's
Yep.
a full blown.
Yep.
Yeah.
I almost wondered, like, do you see it as an Olympic sport? Is it a global sport?
It is. My cousin who lives in the Netherlands, I was chatting with him, and he was pretty much just saying that it's just taking over there too. And again, it's the ease of it.
Isn't Padel massive in Europe?
I think
Padel.
it's Padel is a
It's like a version
fast.
of paddle, like
It's a
platform tennis.
very fast. And Mike had a very good point on that. The level of athleticism required there is pretty high.
Well, Leahy brought up this point. I don't know if you heard it from Mike or it was his thought. You have to play continental.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, up here, that's why he felt it.
Oh, he loves it. Mike's number 1 in the world, I think, at it.
So you do have to be continental.
The ball actually doesn't rotate.
Interesting. Is it a different ball?
No. I was making a joke.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
No, you can read the label the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know if, but it is a global sport. Like, at least it's picking up. But here's the other thing. Let's look at Padel, right? Who 10 years ago when we got into it,
Yeah.
right? It's fastest growing sport. It reached his limit in a way.
Right.
I looked at the finals this year. No, just some people there, but not,
Yeah.
streamlined and so forth. Is there a limit in, and I'm talking specifically, let's go back to paddle, I'm talking specifically the technical limit where there are now, you can extend the point forever with some skills.
Playing paddle.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? So that maybe that was not the case 10 years ago. Is there a technical limit in pickle where you end up at a standstill if you reach a certain level? Do we know about it? Do we know you can get to a point where if I do this from this position, there's nothing you can do to me. No?
It's a good question. Yeah.
Tennis is open-ended, right? It's for now.
Yeah.
For now. Padel is too, but it's getting harder and harder to break through. Like, if you have somebody that knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
they can keep you up there. Doesn't matter if they're the best player in the world. They'll keep you up there 4 hours, man.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
so if you're not going to lose that match, you probably lose the next one because you've got no legs left.
Yeah. I don't know.
A little low on ice. Sorry, is that a little warm?
It's all good.
Put some hair on your chest.
Yeah. But I do think that there's still lots of interest in tennis, obviously.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just here comes along this bastard stepchild right now, and it's how long are they gonna?
Yeah. The other thing is you this is a business decision too, and that's you can't fault anybody for it. But you see so many clubs shifting to pickle because it's easy, right? It's there. If you were any other sport, they wouldn't make that effort. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't change tennis to basketball courts. They wouldn't change.
It's also got to be a little interesting for the clubs to deal with that transition because it's sort of socially accepted that pickle is far less expensive than tennis.
Yes.
You know, court time, the well, the paddles are kind of outrageous at this point.
Are they?
But
What's a paddle?
I mean, you can get like, I guess they're top of the line, but you're getting top of the line paddles for over $200 now.
God damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm.
You know, but
Is there a big like variety in what you're
you can
getting?
You can,
I mean, there's
you can literally buy a wooden pickleball paddle for like $4.99 on Amazon.
right.
You know? And then the next up is like an aluminum one, and then you get
You have the Woody Classic on?
yeah, exactly, exactly. Then you have sort of your mid-range that everybody would play with, and then it just gets crazy from there.
Just, yeah.
Where are your courts at the club?
We lined our hard court to have 2 pickleball courts.
So is there pickle going on while there's tennis going on?
You can't do both at the same time.
Like if there's
you can play tennis on the clays,
yeah,
and then play pickle on the hard court.
does that go on?
Sometimes.
Do the tennis players mind the noise of the?
That's a good point.
No, more the
'Cause
residents. The residents mind the noise.
it's noisy.
It is.
Are there houses right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the
those
houses
courts?
are close enough to the fitness center. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of waking up listening to that. What's amazing is the golfers haven't complained about it. You know, because you're coming right up 18
Yeah.
behind the tennis courts at BlackRock, and you know, if people are out there, it's noisy.
Yeah.
You know, and you get people are a little more rambunctious on the pickle courts than they are.
Yeah,
say, on the
yeah,
tennis courts. So
Are there time restrictions or no?
no, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there yet for demand.
There's not that much. Yeah.
No.
Golfers like, I'm having a cigar here, enjoying myself. I don't care about this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
What's the demographic like? Is it the same? Is it crossover or is it a different demographic?
I would say a little more than 50% of the people who play at BlackRock are probably not tennis players. You know,
Wow.
we have a lot of snowbirds at the club.
Yep.
People who vacation either in Arizona or down south.
Yeah.
So it's those folks that come back and they'll play a decent amount. They run their own like little organized drop-in groups, you know, weekday mornings, things like that. But then I have some tennis players who enjoy doing both.
Yeah.
You know.
It seems that crowd very much doesn't want to pay for anything.
No. Yeah.
Which is different because, like, tennis, I guess in the summer you can find free courts and pay, but it's such an expensive sport to do otherwise. But the pickle crowd seems to not really want to.
It's a leechy little sport there.
Yeah.
They leech on to the tennis courts. They try to go to towns and they look for to just jump on your tennis courts. So that's, in a way, it's a little sketchy. You know, build your own facility. That's what Greg is talking about it for Reading. That he's like, just, okay,
right,
do a fundraiser, build your own courts. Totally fine.
Yeah.
But they're leechy. they'll be like, hey, we have the right because, well, go take the basketball courts or whatever. It's different,
Right.
right?
It's also, though, why I find it interesting for an indoor tennis club to convert some of their courts to pickleball courts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the expectation level of the members is, well, I'm paying for pickleball court time, I'm not paying for tennis court time.
Yeah.
It's like, where are your margins at that point?
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
that's
also-
what Woburn just did, right? Although that was their weird volleyball court, like best situation ever. They had that like separate
Yeah.
volleyball people would play
Volleyball.
sometimes
that's
in the
right.
back. They turned those into,
Who still plays volleyball?
well, no one at Woburn anymore. Playing pickle now. But it's hard to do it around tennis courts because it's really, really noisy.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
Noise is big.
Yeah, you have towns that won't sign off on it because the people in the town are like, there's no way. We're not going to deal with this noise.
Dude, I mean, yeah, some people are right. If I have a house next to the park, and
Yeah.
literally every morning that sound
Right. Well, especially if you bought the house well before.
before,
the park
correct?
was there.
Yeah.
If you bought it after, you kind of knew what you were
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
yourself into, but, you know.
What if you didn't? What if you buy the house and
what are they doing over there? That looks fun. What are they building? Who are those people with the paddles? Like, fuck.
Why does that man have a boombox?
oh, that's right. There's a little bit of that too, right?
Yeah, that's old school.
It really was amazing though. Down in Hilton Head a few years ago, like it was, because I was always like, oh, come on, give me a break. It's tennis.
Same
it's still gonna
mindset
play.
I
But
had.
like seeing there was what might have been 20 pickle courts, lights
Yeah.
that were, again, we had to book 3 days out. There was beautiful Palmetto Dunes, this really nice,
Oh, yeah.
like beautiful clay courts. There was like tumbleweeds blowing across them.
Yeah.
The courts were empty. The whole time, like we couldn't get on them. We couldn't get on the pickleball. You guys want to go play tennis? Everyone's like, fuck no, dude. I don't know how to play tennis. And we went to the beach.
We had a
but like
similar
we would have,
experience.
like those courts were packed. They were packed. It like does show you, like, if you're this is a little sample I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
Empty tennis courts and absolutely packed
Yeah.
pickleball courts.
We had the same experience. We were in Fort Lauderdale a couple years ago, April break. Found like this community center. It was beautiful clay courts, probably 14 of them, maybe 6 pickleball courts. They had an amphitheater. They had a town pool, fields, blah, blah, blah. Ian and I walked right out on the clay courts, no problem.
Not a breed.
Nobody there.
Right.
Pickle courts had 15 people waiting for the next open court.
Right.
It was like kind of sad to watch as a tennis pro. You're like,
Yeah.
The skill level required, right? Again, goes back to that.
Yeah. It is. It's something you said about just not wanting to put in the time to get there. Is this something I can do a little faster? Can I get up and running?
yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, here's the thing, fast forward 3 years. What if part of this pickle population, what if it goes the other way? What if, like, well, okay, I've done this. This is simple. What if I want to challenge myself a little bit more?
Yeah. Especially for
what's-
like the younger demographic
Correct.
that's playing.
Correct.
Sure.
What's harder than this? Well, you want a real deal?
Yeah.
We'll try to play tennis.
Come play tennis.
It could just as easily go the opposite way. It's
Correct.
already- it could be like sickle. You're like, what's that? You're like, well, it's pickle, but you're seated. You don't even stand and run. You just sit in your seat and you just bump the ball back at each other, and you're like, what?
The way everything is going now.
That's what I
dude,
mean.
is like,
They're like, pickle takes a little bit. You got to move here and there. So now what we do is we just get in our chairs and we stay seated.
such a good point.
And oh, by the way, it's unlimited bounces.
Yes. Yeah.
If
You
the
don't even
ball
use a
moves-
ball. You just mimic strokes and you pretend there's a ball. You decide, flip a coin, who wins the point. Like, what?
That is actually probably the better,
Yeah, I'd
the
put my
more
money.
accurate,
I'd put my
the more
money.
accurate
Yeah.
version of that.
That's why, to me, it just, and I know people play it at a high level, but it feels to me a little bit more like a tailgate
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Like
an
a
activity.
very advanced tailgate
Yeah.
game, you know, where like
Yes.
can jam and,
And cornhole.
frisbee one and cornhole and this and that. And like this feels like maybe a little more skill involved in that, but in the end, like a sport, we got to be careful what we're calling it a
Yeah.
little bit. I don't know. It just
Correct.
Like one of the things I'm so amused by.
Like you shouldn't be able to pick up a sport that quick. If you can pick it, that should be one of the. If it's a sport,
definition.
red flags.
yeah, that's that part of the like. If you can be really good at in 10 minutes, it's a tailgating game.
Yeah.
It's not a sport. It should require some technique to learn to be a sport. You shouldn't be able to play it.
Right.
And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if my Nana can give me a good game, it's not a fucking sport. Sorry, Nana. You know what I mean? Like I should be able to beat my grandmother in a sport, no matter what it is.
Every sport, not a sport.
Every sport.
Yeah.
Now, if it's like cards or something, like maybe she's got me, or pick, like again a game, but pickle. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this is the observation I go back to. Like, you ever watch it on TV?
A little bit. It's on. The only time I watch it, sometimes on one of the I guess, is it the tennis channel?
I think they got
going here.
I think they got a lot of flack. They're getting a lot of flack. So,
but
they
on.
created their own
It's
thing.
on quite a lot.
Yeah,
It
they're
is.
branching off to a pickleball channel. Yeah. But you watch, men, women, doesn't matter. You're watching them. They play this, what they would term an intense point.
Yeah.
Okay? Somebody wins the point, and they're reacting the way Nadal would on
Oh,
a
yeah.
set point at Roland
Come
Garros.
on.
Right.
And I'm like, it's a wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Do you know what Nadal just did to win that point?
Right.
Right.
How physical everything was. And,
Yeah.
the adjustments he made and all this other stuff, and you're just bunting a plastic.
Right. If you've had a hip replacement, yet you feel nasty, they're like, that guy at the double hip replacement, watch out for him. Like, that is not a sport.
Yeah, he's the
Sorry.
dark horse.
Yeah. You were right though that when you were talking about the way they it looks so crowded at those events.
Yeah,
but it's like it's the way they shoot. They get everyone sitting forward, and then like
They
the way
shoot just a little bit,
It's
yeah.
the way it's like.
Do you know
the
how Tennis
camera
Channel
shoots
does it?
It's
I don't
It
know if
makes-
you've ever watched it that in depth.
No. Even tennis, right? So if you have a tournament, it doesn't have spectators.
Yeah.
They just film the court. They just show the court only.
Okay.
The same way the Chinese did the same thing during the World Cup. They didn't show the stands, so they don't see people without masks on. So they just show the field. You can't compare it yet. It's taken over, and I get it to the amateur level and so forth. I just don't see it. I don't see somebody watching even the tenth of the audience that the Wimbledon final has
watching pickle.
watching pickle.
No way.
And I don't see it even
No
getting
way.
there ever.
Like it's on here, and people will watch it from in passing. There is no one that's going to tune in to watch a certain match.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
So there's a limit there, which we're still in the process of this activity reaching a level where
Right, that's what I mean. Doesn't
Yeah.
it all possibly shit the bed at some point?
could, or at
kinda
least
just
stagnate.
lose?
Stagnate, right? Back to a little bit tennis in our area, Ronan.
Yeah.
What do you see, my friend?
Here?
Yeah. Northeast.
One of the things I would definitely want to take a minute to compliment is what you guys do here. Like, just being on the emails. Granted, my participation level for the last several years has just been practically non-existent, but
We've been talking about that. We'll be getting an email.
or I won't be getting any more.
Yeah, we are off the list.
But just the stuff that goes on here is just, I mean, is there another tennis club that does what you guys do? And not like just from a programming standpoint, right? But I'm part of all these emails in terms of contract, Davis Cup, what's the other big one you do besides the Woody?
Laver.
Laver, all that stuff. It's like, it's so creative, and at the same time, it satisfies a demand of players who, let's face it, don't often have a lot to do.
Right.
Right? Because once you reach this particular level, USTA, it's such a small pool of people. And then you have families, and
Right.
you have your own family, and lives are just busy. And it's like, all right, well, I can't fit in a USTA league right now. I can't
Right.
pull that off.
Right.
For you guys to do what you do here is like, it's awesome.
That's nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're part of the beginnings of that, man. So that's
Yeah.
I just putting the Woody Classic up the other weekend. First winner,
Oh yeah.
Jay Ronan set Farrakhan.
Oh yeah.
They're the first ones.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's like
yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, how many years have you been at that?
I think the first one was 2013 or 14, so
Yeah.
10 years now. Almost 10 years of Woody.
I mean,
Which
that's
is-
awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's an event. A couple guys get injured because of the rackets or something like that. And you're like, maybe we should stop holding this.
Yeah.
But you know, the
Train
pictures
harder.
and the write-ups.
Train hard to get ready.
Yeah.
So put more lead tape on your racket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so cool to see the stuff that you guys do here. So it's
That's
certainly
nice,
healthy
man.
in
Thank
this
you.
area of the state.
Yeah.
You know, no, I mean, I think in our area, I think it's still a really healthy sport.
Yeah.
You know, I'm now in the throes of my son plays high school tennis. You know, so
Yeah.
I get a chance to watch what does high school tennis look like now relative to
What's his game like?
Yeah, I mean, he's an athlete first and foremost.
He's a
you
hockey
know?
player, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he gets
okay.
away
He's
with some
got
stuff
those-
out there.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see
Good
that.
hands up around the net and stuff.
decent. He's
Good
you know he's not
touch,
afraid to
good
get up
feel.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Good, he wasn't afraid when
Has he
we
got
had
a
the
one?
parties.
Does he got
Yeah,
his
right.
dad's one or what?
No, so he's a lefty. So
Moving
he
right
we
hand.
we've tried to. He's just now, so he's a junior, right? And he's just now.
Ian a junior now, man.
Yeah.
Ian, buddy, what happened?
So he's just now really like hitting the passion level
Yeah.
where he's like, I really want to get good at this. And
Has he done clinics? Does he like take clinics? Has he done lessons?
No, it's
or
just
stuff with you?
like he and I jump on a court and
Yeah, yeah.
you know, we either play
God,
points.
it
or
helps
we-
if you're an athlete and you play tennis and you can have a little guidance from someone who
Yeah.
Yeah.
knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
What's
So,
he playing his team?
He goes back and forth between 1 and 2 singles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, so now he's expressing interest in wanting to play tournaments, you know. So
That's awesome.
You know, I'm just going back through that, like USTA, UTR, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun now,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Because all along I needed him to be the driving force.
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
going to push that upon him.
That's
you know?
really smart.
We've even had, you know, career-related conversations. You know, what do you see yourself doing? You know, he's your typical teenage boy. You know,
Yeah.
don't know what they're gonna do. You know, I was
Dude.
48, still don't
Yeah.
know what I want to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, come
you
on,
know?
we
So,
just-
but at one point, he's like, maybe I see myself doing something like what you do.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's
you know?
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good compliment to you, man.
Tennis game needs to get a little better, but it's beside the point. But no, it's fun to see kids playing high school tennis now, you know,
Yeah.
because that was what the three of us and Larry and,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
Gav,
Yeah.
Carl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we were, that was the highlight of our week, was getting those kids
Yeah.
ready for high school season.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bantering back and forth on
Who won what?
who we thought would win and, you know, the matchups and blah, blah, blah. So it's healthy, you know.
Yeah.
I'm in a city that tennis is a very healthy sport in Quincy.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's crazy.
That's awesome.
So we're really lucky. The one downside is we don't have any indoor courts. There's no indoor facility in Quincy. But there's
So where does
tons.
everyone go to play?
They just play at public parks. And like in terms of training and things like that, you've got to go to Sportsman's in Dorchester, or you got to go to the Weymouth Club,
Weymouth.
or the Y down in Hanover.
Okay.
You know, good staff at all of those clubs. So, you know, you're heading in the right
Yeah.
direction if you go to any of those places. But the city is littered with public courts, and
That's
they're-
awesome,
as
man.
soon as the weather is nice enough, and until Thanksgiving, those courts are full all the time. And it's not pickleball kids; it's pickleball players. It's tennis all the time. So it's fun. It's fun to see that it's so healthy in our city.
I don't see kids migrating towards pickleball.
No,
No.
it's they are the schools are taking advantage of it. It's a phys ed sport now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like some of the high
Activity.
schools. Yeah, exactly.
Although once it starts being offered
Yeah.
in
Yeah, which is good.
colleges,
I mean, it's fine.
they'll
Yeah.
migrate towards it. But
It's we brushed on this before too, but I think it's always going to be a very, very strong sport, especially in adulthood, where what else can you do?
Well, that's why it is so strong. I mean, you can do some other sports as an adult, but you're risking serious body injury like every time you go out there. Like when you just get older, like in hockey or like
beer leaguer. Yeah,
like in adult hockey leagues. Are you checking or no?
Well, you get some hardos who are like,
right.
Hey, I was.
But that's all it takes is one like
clown.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've played a bunch of assholes in tennis. They've never checked me. You know, like you don't have to worry about that.
And you can still hit that individual achievement chord.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just what else? Literally, what else can you do?
Yeah.
As an adult, golf. I mean, you can golf, but
you
not quite the same.
Yeah.
Right. You're not taking in the same exercise value.
Correct.
Right.
Even if you walk 18 holes, you play an hour and a half, 2 out of 3 sets, singles or dubs.
Yep.
Your calorie burn is higher on the tennis court than it is walking.
And at some point, that does has to count for something.
Yeah.
When you look at everything else, like.
Well, isn't that why a lot of adults play the game? Is just for exercise. It's like one of the things you like doing an adult clinic. You're always trying to balance. You have a group of adults out there, like they've picked up the game, and like how much in a group setting are you really going to be like we're going to get you ready for the tour?
Right.
Probably not. And that's not really probably what you're looking for. You want to come out here, you want to pick up a skill, you want to learn a few things, but like ultimately you want to run around and you want to burn some calories and you want to be entertained and you want to have a social interaction and this and that. It's like part of it is like it's a fun way to exercise and like, okay, I could go to the treadmill and then I'm like, ooh, I had a great walk tonight. Like, what the fuck? No, but like you could go out there and have oh, that was a really fun clinic, or I played better than I did last week. So you're getting exercise, but there's also this marker of you getting better or this or that, where like if you're going to you're on a Stairmaster and you're like, ooh, so many flights.
Right.
So
it's also just like something as simple. This is me time, right? This is my time for me.
You have to be present, right? And that individual achievement chord it has to be hit, because you do get mad if you don't get emotion. If you don't get that serve.
Yeah.
Or if you don't get that forehand.
But that's okay.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because you're a kid again.
Yeah.
You're learning. You're in that, I want to get better. Because you lose that, right? You go to your job and you do a repetitive task or whatever it is that you do, which is great, but you do have to find something to balance yourself, and this does provide that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like when we used to consistently play in the North Shore League, it just fed your competitive juices, right?
Yeah.
Which like you get out of college and you need somewhere for those competitive juices to go. Yeah. That fed that big time.
Yeah.
But fast forward, if I'm playing in the North Shore League now, I'm like, I'm so happy that I'm just doing something for myself.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Although it's funny because I hadn't played in so long, and then I actually managed to play a few times this year, and I was like, I just want to go out, get some exercise, have fun, like not get hurt.
Yeah.
So I was like just enjoying it, and then, God, it doesn't take long before you're out there, and you're just like, it's just you can't even control it, and then that's actually what makes it fun. Like when you finish, you're like, ooh, you're like, man, I haven't had that
rush
in a little bit. Yeah, there's a bit of a rush. Yeah. It's like getting out of the plunge
which you,
a little bit. You feel like when you're done, you're like, I go home and like I can't even sleep.
Yeah.
I heard you guys were doing that. I do it across the street from my house.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. It's great.
Cold water.
In the ocean.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's right. You're right there.
Perfect. That's the way to do it.
Oh,
Nice big tub.
What do you think the water temperature was? Were you doing it all through the winter?
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome, Jay.
No, I loved it.
What do you think that water? Yeah, no, I love it too. I can't believe it sounds so. If you had told me before,
I have a recording of it.
If you had told me before I found it so life changing, I would have probably made fun of you.
Yeah,
you did.
And now I'm like, oh.
It's this mental and physical reset every time I go in.
Yeah. How cold do you think the water gets in the winter?
I think
because the other battle of that is just the air temperature too. Like I did mine I had mine outside and I moved it into my garage. I had to break through some ice to get in, and
You got to be careful.
It really,
Gotta
if
be
it
careful.
fuck, I actually now when I go in, I don't go hands. My hands.
Someone told me to do
my
that,
hands
so I don't do
can't
that anymore.
handle it, and I had
Yeah.
a bad experience where I went in with my hands.
Yep.
After I cracked through some ice, and for like 3 days,
You
like
couldn't
my
feel it.
fingertips weren't right and
Yep.
stuff, and I'm like, okay, now let's like this is supposed to be making me feel better. So even now, like I go all the way everywhere else, but I keep
Yep.
my hands out.
Are your feet bare, or do you have?
Yeah,
booties?
no, my feet. No, my feet don't
Yeah.
seem to bother me.
My feet, relative to my hands, my feet are usually worse. So I got these like almost
Little booties.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they measured the bay at like 41, 40.
Yeah.
But then we do New Year's at Lake Winnipesaukee.
Oh boy.
So I took full advantage of that, and I think that was in the high 30s.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a little more noticeably exhilarating.
Yeah.
Like I'm laying there, my whole family came down, like what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
You know, but I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I found my sweet. I have a little thermometer. I found my sweet spot is like 45
Yeah.
to like even maybe a little below, like between 40 and
Yeah.
45.
Everybody has their own.
Yeah.
And that time I cracked through the ice, it was I forget what it was, but it was in the
30s.
high 30s,
Yeah.
and I not only did I fuck my hands up, I really had a hard time. Like after I tried to do a quick workout, and then I ran to like Gabby's basketball game,
Yeah.
and we're like in a gym, and like people are like sweating, and I was like,
Yeah.
and Erica's like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "I think my plunge was too cold," and she's like, "Dude, go sit in the car with the heat on or something."
Yeah.
But that temp for me, like right in that low 40s, seems to be cold enough without. I mean, it's cold.
Yeah.
You're fighting it a little bit, and you get that rush, but it's not causing my body.
Yeah.
Like at some point, if there's some negative effects, I'm like, maybe my body's letting
There
me
are.
know
And
that
people got to be
it's-
careful about that.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different and you change too. And it's colder is not better. It's this human thinking that more.
Well, I
is
think
better.
some people do it for the mental, like they want to go as
Yeah,
low as they
adrenaline
like.
rush.
The science behind it
Yeah.
definitely is like
You don't.
I've
need
read
to.
below that lady Suzanne whatever Soberg or whatever.
Yeah,
she's
sober.
got-
Yeah.
Says below anything below 59 degrees, like between 59 and like 40, you're getting
Yeah, you're
all
good.
these.
Everything. All the
benefits.
benefits.
Yeah.
But like some people, they want to go colder and they want to sit in it longer
it
just for like the
becomes-
mental.
it becomes
I do 3
numbers.
minutes. I'm in and out in 3.
That's what I
I'm
do.
in and out in.
Yeah.
I have like
3
a whole
minutes.
routine. I'm like counting in my head.
Yeah, I actually go headphones.
Oh, is that
and,
right?
Yeah, I get certain songs going
Yeah.
and just go right up.
It's so funny
Although-
being like in the public where I am. Like
Yeah,
I'm on
yeah.
a public beach, right? And I have to cross 4 lanes of traffic at a crosswalk.
Yeah.
So it's the dead of winter, and I have a bathing suit on, a hoodie, the booties, and a beach towel. You know, so I walk across.
People must be
I have to
like,
hit
"What?"
I have to hit the crosswalk button. So the people at the traffic light are like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys like.
They're probably locking their door. They're like, it seems like some crazy homeless man. Watch out.
exactly. And then I get the people who are walking, who stop. They watch me do the whole thing. They're taking pictures of
Yeah,
me. Right?
yeah.
So iPhones are just everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I walk back. I'm soaking wet. And the funniest thing that happened to me was one morning, I'm crossing back. I'm soaking wet. There's this guy in like an old, probably, I don't know, some kind of beat up car. And he's smoking a butt. He's got about 7 teeth in his head. And he says, "Did you go in that water?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's awesome." He's like, "That water will kill you." I'm like, yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Water will kill you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm doing more good than harm.
I'm trying to talk Eric into. I want to get a chiller, but they're expensive, man.
They are.
It's just
What's a
not
chiller?
to get my little plunge cold enough for like
Oh, like in
the
the
temperature
summertime.
now. It's already starting. It's at like right now. It's at like
Yeah. It's
it's
gonna
at
heat
like
up through
it's
the day.
it's at like 49 degrees,
Yeah.
50 degrees. It's like starting to get, and so the garage stays colder.
Yeah.
But like if it's 80 degrees out now, to get it down for the amount of ice that I'm buying and the amount of time, this and that, like you
Yep.
can buy these little like aquarium chillers and all these other
Okay.
different things, but some of them are like in the they're like $3,000.
Jesus.
it seems like you can get in the game for like $700, $800.
Yeah.
But
Did anyone else from your family join you? Ever?
no, Erica tried it a couple times. And
It takes a bit.
It just wasn't
Takes
like,
a bit.
dude. It's if you don't like, I do it. It's the first thing I do in the morning.
Okay.
I take a hot shower.
Yep.
And then I go downstairs. I plunge, and then I do a quick workout to
Yep.
warm up. It's like habit. It's like the best part of my day. It's
Yeah.
my favorite part of the day. Like
Yep.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't do it enough to make it a habit, it's a tough thing to sign on for, because it's like I am addicted to the feeling after, so I'm ready to go through
Yeah.
what it is. But until you do that enough, like you could talk yourself. There's even some mornings where even getting out of the shower, I'm just a little chilly, and I'll just like look at it for a second. I'm like I could talk myself out, but I'm just like, I know what it's going to be like
Yeah.
after. So you jump in and
Yeah.
you go. She didn't do it enough times to get that
It's
part
also
of it.
maybe-
She just had some experiences where she like got it, and I'm like, she got to like 30 seconds, and she got out, and she was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, we'll try that again tomorrow.
Like Tess came with me a couple times.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was
Yeah.
great. And,
Yeah.
like,
And they'll
at one
follow
point-
you.
Oh yeah, no. Like if anytime I'll ask her, she'll often come. And it was funny. It was like her first or second time. I'm just trying to immerse myself, get myself to the neck down, and then I'm like, "What is that noise?" She's behind me, like splashing around, like swimming.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, no, just
Right.
Yeah.
just drop into the water.
Yeah.
She's like doggy paddling.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
Now
man.
you're having too much fun.
Yeah. They're powerful, man. All right, fellas. It's been a couple hours, man.
Has it?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know. Should we go get some food? Or you guys
What time
gotta
is
go?
it?
7:40 actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We did it.
We did it.
We've said it all.
Ronan, let's do it again, man.
Absolutely.
Do it again. This is fun.
Appreciate you boys having me.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. All right. Let's go get some grub.